Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel, Tara Talks Books, where we talk everything bookish. So today I'm going to be doing another book versus film adaptation video. And this one I'm actually going to be doing The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. So I'm actually doing this as a collab with Autumn over at Nose in a Book and Crystal from Books Forever After. We actually realized that all three of us enjoy The Viscount Who Loved Me, and so we decided to do a book versus movie collab together and just kind of share our thoughts. So the Bridgerton series was actually made into a show over on Netflix, and hopefully it'll go through each of the siblings' stories. This one is actually Kate and Anthony's story. So The Viscount Who Loved Me is like a hate to love, marriage of convenience, historical romance. And this focuses on Anthony Bridgerton, who is the eldest of the Bridgerton siblings, as he sets out in the season to find a wife, but certainly not a love match. He has this fear that he's going to die young because of something that happened to his father. So he just has this fear that he's going to die, and die young. So he doesn't want to find a love match. He just wants to find a wife. And so anyways, he sets his sight on Edwina, and he ends up running into some hiccups because he needs the permission of her older sister, Kate. So Edwina and Kate really share a bond, and their father passed away, and so Edwina really cherishes Kate's opinion, and so like she lets all her suitors know that they would need Kate's approval as well, which kind of causes an issue for Anthony because he is considered a rake, and she doesn't think that he can make her sister happy, and so she is kind of like blocking him from trying to court her sister. And it goes from there. So that is just like the gist or the overview of The Viscount Who Loved Me. So I'm actually going to start with like the pros between the book and the show. So I definitely think that one of the pros of the book and the show is that it definitely shows the chemistry between Anthony and Kate. I really think it was done well in the show because it is a big, obviously, point because this is a romance. And so we want the characters to have like chemistry between each other, and that comes off in the book, and I think that's portrayed well in the show. So I really thought that was a pro, and it also showed the longing between the two of them. Another pro is that they include Pall Mall. That is a big aspect in the Bridgerton family. They do play that game, and they also include the Black Mallet of Death, which I thought was a fun thing because it's mentioned in the book. They do play Pall Mall as a family, and then Kate end up playing as well. So I really enjoyed that they included that aspect in the show because that was a fun scene within the book. I also really enjoyed that they included Newton, which is Kate's dog, and they included Newton in the show, and I thought that was a fun aspect of it as well because Newton gets up to some hijinks that's in the show. It's slightly different from in the book, but I do enjoy that he's at least in it, and they did put him in. So one of the best things I think that's included, one of the pros other than their chemistry, is the inclusion, of course, Lady Whistledown, because it would not be Bridgerton without Lady Whistledown and her papers. So I really enjoyed obviously including that. I know it was included in the first one, the first season, and I enjoyed that it's included in the second season. So I thought that was really fun. Another pro is Daphne's relationship with Anthony. That is shown within the show as well as within the book. Daphne is the main character from the first book, The Duke and I, and she's the sister of Anthony, and their relationship shows in the book and in the show. So I thought that was a pro. She really tries to help him see that he's falling for Kate. I believe in the book it's more Violet Bridgerton, who is his mom, that shows him But I liked that they chose Daphne for the show. Another pro that is the same, or at least similar within the book to the movie, is that it does show Violet's grief after Edmund's death. It is a big part of the Bridgerton family. Edmund was like the patriarch of the family. He was the father, and he died suddenly and young, and it kind of threw off everybody's trajectory. Like they're all affected in different ways because of his death, especially Anthony, because he's the oldest son. And so I liked that it showed Violet's grief, and then even Anthony's grief, and how he's dealing with that, and how he's had to like take over the family, everything. And so I liked that it kind of showed that aspect. There are some cons that I'll get into later, I think are missing in the show that were in the book, but we'll come to that later. One thing that I would say is kind of middle of the road. I do love the devotion to family that is shown, both through Kate and through Anthony. And so I really enjoy that aspect, and it is shown within the show, and it is a major aspect of the book. And I put it in middle of the road because there are some things that occur within the show that do not within the book, that kind of like hinder that devotion to family. You'll see what I mean when I talk about it, but I definitely think that's an important aspect, and that it is, like I said, portrayed. It's just slightly different. So now we are moving on to the cons. And I will say one of the biggest cons that really just kind of frustrated me in the show is the sister and mother relationship. The way it's set up in the show of Edwina like just being frustrated and angry with Kate, and like made to be felt like a fool by getting her all the way to the aisle. That did not happen in the book. Edwina is aware of the attraction and it between Kate and Anthony. She sees her sister and knows her sister well, and she sees this even before Kate does. So she's not even sad or upset or angry or felt any sort of way other than happiness for Kate in the book. And so I think that really took away the relationship in the show that you get, how they decided to go and make Anthony and Kate, or Edwina and Kate, get all the way to the altar, and then Edwina realize and Anthony realize that this is a mistake. Then it really just takes away from the sister relationship, and it almost pits them against each other, versus what I enjoyed about the book of like they really understood each other, so much so that Edwina saw something in Kate when she was with Anthony and was not surprised at all that they were getting married. So because there is so much chemistry, she realized that. And she's not sad at all, because she also ends up finding someone else who later on in the book that she met at like one of the events. So I don't like that they did that. So Mary is Kate's stepmom. Her real mom passed away, and then her dad remarried and had Edwina. And so she's been raising Kate since she was young. And they have a really good, strong bond and relationship within the book. But it is not portrayed that way because of events that happen between Edwina and Kate. So in the book, they don't ever make it to the aisle. An event happens, and Kate and Anthony are forced to get married because of circumstances. They're found in a compromising position. Back in the day, that's what they did. And so that does not occur in the book or in the show like it does. So Kate and Edwina get all the way to the altar of about to get married. And I think that really almost puts us against Kate and Anthony, because we feel sorry for Edwina in the show. And so that is one aspect I didn't enjoy. And it almost puts, like I said, Edwina and Mary, who is Kate's stepmom, against Kate, and that wasn't at all what was happening within the book, because they had this strong relationship, because after the father died, Kate helped raise Edwina while Mary had to obviously work because their father had passed away. So anyways, I did not like that aspect. I didn't like that, we didn't want to root for Kate and Anthony. And I feel like in the book, you want to root for this relationship. And I feel like in the show, you didn't want to because you felt bad for Edwina. And I didn't like that aspect. And so I just felt like it also pitted the sisters against each other. And we don't need any of that. That's not how the book is. I didn't think that was necessary. So that was probably my biggest con. Sorry, I rambled. So another two big scenes in the book, they were in the movie, but they were changed. And I think those two big scenes, one, help us understand the characters and their feelings, and also it shows a deeper bond and level. So obviously there's physical attraction, but then within the book, there's two scenes that you start to understand these characters would be like, oh, that is why there's this deeper connection. One scene is the bee scene, and it is in the show. Kate gets stung by a bee, and Anthony tries to suck out the venom because he's scared she's gonna die. The reason that he does that is because that is how Edmund, his father, died. He ended up getting stung by a bee and he died. And that was a traumatic event for him because it was unexpected. It led to him having to be the leader of the household, basically. And he was very young. I think he was 18 at the time. So he was young, taking over a household and multiple children, and then his mother's grief, and then his grief on top of that. And so it was a traumatic event for him. And so when he saw Kate get stung, that made him feel, obviously helpless and scared that he couldn't do anything about it. And so they're caught in this compromising position, which creates a marriage of convenience. They end up getting married because of that. And that is not portrayed in the book. They are caught, but it is dealt with in a different way. And so it doesn't show their bond. The other scene that I think deepens their bond is the Thunderstorm scene, because you see Kate and she's vulnerable in that scene. So whereas the bee scene shows Anthony's vulnerability, the Thunderstorm scene shows Kate's vulnerability. And it is, like I said, both of these scenes are in the show because they are big aspects of the book. They're just handled differently, and I don't think that they are handled in the correct way to show what it really means, what those two scenes really mean to this couple. And so the Thunderstorm scene is Kate is very scared. She's always been very scared and anxious over thunderstorms. Later on in the book, you realize why. So she ended up being in the room when her mother died, and of course it was a thunderstorm night. Her mom died of a very painful lung disease, and she saw her obviously not breathing, so that led to some trauma as a child witnessing that, and then she correlated that with thunderstorms, and of course now she's scared of thunderstorms. And so between, like I said, the anxiety from the bee and the anxiety from the thunderstorms, it's paralleling in these characters their parents' death. And so they connect on this deeper level of being anxious over different things that they can't control, and which bonds the couple deeper because they have this understanding of each other. And I feel like that's not shown in the show as well as it is portrayed in the book. And I think that is a detriment. So going back to the sister relationship and the mother relationship between the girls. So Kate, Mary, and Edwina, they have obviously all been together since the death of Kate and Edwina's father and Mary's husband. And they have created this strong bond, and which makes Kate have this devotion to family. And then you have Anthony, who's devoted to his family because he's been taking care of them ever since his father passed away. He's been trying to do everything right to support them. And so they both have these connections of devotion to family, and which obviously, like I said, connects them on a deeper level than just physical attraction, which I mentioned their chemistry is great. But if you want a couple to work, they have to be connected deeper, at least for me to buy into it as a reader or even as a viewer. So I feel like that Kate's devotion is kind of taken away, and you kind of see her negatively because of what's lacking in the show versus in the book. So obviously, there's things that occur in the show that don't happen in the book. So, with all that said, if you watch the show, you might still actually enjoy it. I enjoyed watching it as a viewer just because I loved the book so much. I was sad that this was missing and they changed it. But if you go into it knowing that it's not going to be like the book, you can enjoy it for what it is. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. Bye.